G'day everybody, Simon here, Explosive Action. I am back for a metal vinyl update. I've got 4 OG records to take a look at here, so let's get into it. A reminder as always that this video went to channel members first. You can join the channel for 99 US cents per month. That's not very much money, and it can get you early access to videos such as these, and we may have some exclusives in the future. So I've got 4 records here, all original presses from the 80s right up until 1990 on the dot, so all old stuff here. Not all thrash. Usually when I do these 80s videos, they're usually very thrash. They are very thrash today, but there is one particular here that is absolutely not thrash, but it is incredibly 80s and very, very original press. But first off, we are going to start with something that is going to thrash your socks off. We have here Destructor with Maximum Destruction. Look at that cover. This is a band that's always been on my periphery. I've always heard the name of the band, but I never really heard them. Never really checked them out. This is Ohio's Destructor with their 1985 debut of very thrashy speed metal, very speedy thrash metal, whatever you want to call it. It really is more in the vein of something like Exciter or Razor at their more angry, and something like Agent Steel as well. But yeah, I'd say it's more like that rather than sort of just Bay Area thrash, that kind of thing. The opening and the title track are after there's an instrumental at the start here. The opening track is this 7-minute long like metal epic, which is pretty brave to do for the opening track on your first album. And it's a real ripper too. Like, it explores pretty much everything the band can do and has to offer is all done in this very first track. It's then followed by a far shorter, far faster track that really says we are thrash. That's the track is called Destructor, named after the band, and like it is this is us at our most primal and our most furious. It's a good kind of defining sound for them as well. Pummeling double kicks in that, lots of frenetic riffs. The vocals in Destructor, somewhere between sung and shouted, with sort of squealy screeches, at the end of every phrase. Like so many bands did that. Exodus did it. Lots of bands did that. Some very metal anthem lyrics. Like this one was I thought quite fun. Pounding the heaviest of metal, pushing ourselves over to the top of the edge. It's just quality stuff. I mean, songs about metal. I always love that stuff. And you look at that album cover and you look at the back here. It's very Destructor, really. This kind of stuff. The next track on here, we got this one's called Take Command. After that, that one has a bit of a bluesy section in the middle of it. Kind of stood out. Like it's just thrashing along, and then sort of goes into this. Oh, right, we're in like the jazz club now, just for a brief period of time. That was interesting, and has a sort of the bass guitar. I didn't really notice it so much on the first couple of tracks, the instrumental and then the main track, but on this one I could really tell this like heavy gauge wire rumbling bass sound. Like it was really, really thick and nasty sounding bass. Really, really good. We go through to this then like instrumental, then we go side B, opening track, Pounding Evil. Take that whichever way you want, but it kind of feels like a Slayer song, particularly lyrically. Gets faster to become maybe the fastest track on the album, really. Kind of barely holds it together, really. Iron Curtain is another one on there. That's going to gallop to a bit like an Iron Maiden riff kind of thing. This is 1985 after all. Some more bass doodling in there kind of sets it apart. And another instrumental, Hot Wet Leather. We get this last track called Bondage, which is a real blazing closer to the album. It's got some gang shouts and wailing solos and things. I mean, look at these guys. They've had 67 beers before they've done that photo. It's just premium stuff. They all look like they've been in Venom. Yeah, this is Destructor. It's really, really good. Very fun early thrash with a lot of that speed metal, kind of that European speed metal edge chucked in there. We get nice thrash collage. Destructor written there on the wall. Lots of ladies in these photos here. I'm sure we may have had a good time with the band. Got some lyrics on this side. Give us bondage tonight. Hot chains. And it is on just black. The label is called Auburn. Now, I've never really heard of Auburn. There you go. Auburn Records. Yep, nothing much else in there. Just the inner sleeve. I'll put it back in afterwards. But yeah, this is a fun one. It was not on my essential had to get list at all. Like I said, it's sort of been, the band's been on my periphery for years. I've always sort of just been hearing about them. I might have seen a poster or seen a photo or something. I know Heavy Metallurgy touched on them, did a review a month or two ago, and that was coincidental because I'd already bought this at that time. So yeah, there you go. Maximum Destruction from Destructor. If you've heard all the thrash in the world, well, I guarantee you haven't heard this one. The next one I got for a really great deal because it's got a bit of a sore cut in the cover, but I was happy enough to pick this up. This is Master with their self-titled debut, Master. Yeah, Chicago band. I'm sure you all know of the band Master. This was released in 1990 after their 1985 demo tape. So 5 years there. I always get the feeling that this particular album in the discography gets a bit overlooked. When people think of Master, they tend to think of the one after this, On the Seventh Day God Created Master. That was the one I had before this. It's the only one I had until I was lucky to pick this one up. But I think I actually really prefer this one quite considerably over that album. That was getting more into death metal. Here we are very, very much thrashy death metal or deathy thrash metal, something like that. You know, lots of D beats. There's, you know, it reminds me a bit of Massacre, but I hear a lot of England's Cancer in this. That could be completely coincidental, but yeah, for sure, and particularly the production. There's a lot of like to the gory end kind of production going on here with this one. A little bit of obituary in the groove there, and some of the riffs. Yeah, this is the most notable of the Paul Speckman projects, I would say. He's quite prolific. At the same time that he released this one, his thrash band Abomination released their debut, also self-titled. I think that one could be wrong, but I thought it might be. And on here, it's a tight three-piece. This band with Chris Middleburn on guitars and Bill Schmidt on drums. Barely cracks in at 28 minutes long. It's an embossed cover. It's a very boring cover. I mean, they could have done so many other things with this, but I mean, hey, it's embossed. Thank you to Nuclear Blast for doing that. The band, I don't know, they always feel a bit like one of those sort of second tier bands, right? Like they never really blew up following this album. And you know, reading into the history of the band, it's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit sad, I suppose. Like the 1985 demo that came out, that circulated the underground apparently and was like blowing up. The same year that Speckman also did his Death Strike band, demo for that in 85, and that was circulating and blowing up. So all this stuff was going around the underground in demos. But it took 5 years before we got this album. Why? Supposedly, according to the Metal Archives, the record deal with Combat Records fell through. That was the same record label that signed Death, and it just got shelved and nothing happened until this happened 5 years later, and they'd literally missed the boat. I mean, it's still not too late or anything, 1990, but they could have been very much ahead of the curve. Most of the songs on here were from the 85 demo, then a couple more. So, yeah, if this came out around the Scream Bloody Gore times, we might have had a very interesting conversation to be having about that. But I also think the inconsistent lineup of the band probably hasn't helped, probably hindered. You know, it's sort of like Speckman and the Masterettes on every album. According to Metal Archives again, he tried out 26 guitarists when doing that demo. So, you know, I mean, fair enough. I mean, if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. But it seems to be a different band plus him every single album. They're still going now. When I say them, again, it's Speckman, and he's moved to Czechia and has recruited locals, I presume, because their surnames are very much non-American. And still cranking out albums. I haven't heard anything new, but still going. Master is still a thing. But on here anyway, like I was saying, like I really like the thrashy edge to this. the very dry and snappy production, and that's what really connects it to something like Cancer for me. There's a wild bass solo on the side B, actually listed there as bass solo, just before it does a cover of Children of the Grave, Black Sabbath song. So yeah, like this is, I haven't really talked too much about the tracks. I mean, they're all kind of similar. It's not a hugely long album either. It's I think it's sub 30 minutes, but it's just thrashy death metal, a lot of D beat, straightforward, just does exactly what it needs to do. I mean, like when you got a cover like that, and it's like you're not getting like flourishes and things. You're just getting good, solid, honest, thrashy death metal, deathy thrash metal. There's the lyrics, band logo, more lyrics. Nuclear Blast Records promo down there. Death metal, thrash, grindcore, hardcore, punk, and crossover. Thank you to Nuclear Blast. Yeah, nice presentation on the LP. It's really nice condition. Sounds perfect, which is the main thing. And again, I'll put that back in later. So yeah, I'm really thrilled to have this thing. I would have been equally happy. This is the kind of era of death metal where if I had tripped over the original press CD, I would have been just as happy and put it alongside the sophomore release CD I've got. But the LP was kicking there. It was a great price just because of this saw cut. I don't know if this was a damage, like an intentional damage, or like this is a promo saw cut kind of thing. I mean, it's a little annoying, but whatever. I'm fine. And as I said, I got it for a really good price, and it's a really good short listen. So yeah, if you've never checked out the first album from Master, highly recommend you do. We don't like his name, but for his country, that was his game. We're starting to get into the big guns now, and this one was one that, a bit like the first Violence album, I kind of just wrote off being able to get at a decent price, or even at all locally. Never seen this one come up locally, and when it did, it came up for a very, very good price. I got it from the same seller I got the Master from, so we struck a bit of a good deal there. And like I picked up the Violence only a couple of months ago, I now have Rigor Mortis, self-titled album here. Look at that thing, so classic. This is their debut from 1988, and is an absolute thrash monster from Texas. It has a 97% rating on Metal Archives from 11 reviews. The lowest rating was like 85%, and there's a bunch of hundreds in there. This is a well-revered album. They sound something like, if you don't know this Rigor Mortis, because obviously there's death metal Rigor Mortis, but if you don't know the thrash metal Rigor Mortis, somewhere in the Whiplash, Evil Dead, Nasty Savage kind of realm, with a hell of a lot of possessed seven churches. But a bit more sort of technical flair being thrown in there. That's why I sort of think sort of maybe a little bit Evil Dead, maybe the third album from Whiplash, which was obviously later than this, but that's the kind of sound you get in here. But as for this album, it's got a very ballsy opener with a 3-minute instrumental, which, yeah, as I said, it's pretty ballsy to open with an instrumental like that, but the band get to show off their chops straight away. And then it goes into the riff fest that is Demons, a ferocious thrash attack that never lets up. And this is when you hear, for the first time, one of Mike, I think it's Scacia, Scaccia. I've never actually heard it said, so is it Mike Scacia? One of his Savage solos. And you realize at that point that the band's a three-piece because he is guitars. That's it. There is no rhythm or lead. It's just him. So when he's busy doing a solo, all you hear is the bass guitar. There's bands like that. I mean, Pantera is a band that's been like that. But here we are, Rigor Mortis, very similar style. And it works well. A lot of the time when there's bands like that and the lead's off doing his solos or whatever, and there's no rhythm, it feels empty, like something's missing. But the bass here really fills the gap. And yeah, it doesn't feel like you're missing something, at least not to my ears. So that's good. And then you've got on vocals, you've got Bruce Corbett. And he goes from sort of shouting vocals into a very Bay Area snarl. Unfortunately, both Mike and Bruce have passed away, which is a real shame. But they, combined here with the other guy in the band, the drummer, this is a pretty excellent release. Second track, Bodily Dismemberment, on here. We'll flip over the other side. There's the back. Bodily Dismemberment. Yeah, we got Mike Scacchi on guitar, Casey Orr on bass and vocals, but backup vocals, Houndon Harrison on drums, and then Bruce Corbett on lead vocals. Bruce and Mike, I believe, had both passed away. But anyway, Demons was the first track. The next one we get onto is Bodily Dismemberment. This one's really showing the gory themes of the band here. They're such a horror-themed band instead of a comic book kind of horror theme. It's nothing too serious. The lyrics on this one's basically Cannibal Corpse kind of stuff, but through the eyes of a mid-paced thrasher. The riff on this track, I gotta say, it's probably my least favorite track on the album. It's very straightforward and repetitive. It actually feels more like a B-side track. It's fine. It's a good one. It's just simply to headbang along to, but it's got a lot less going on for it than much of the other stuff that's coming up. Condemned to Hell, that one sounds like an evil Slayer track from some like Hell Awaits. And we get Wizard of Gore, obviously named after the Herschel Gordon Lewis film. No doubt has an interesting start with sort of like a classical acoustic guitar piece. Then it gets into this rabid track, and the main riff on that sounds very much like The Exorcist from Possessed. Moving on to the B-side, now we have a great 1-2 punch here. Shroud of Gloom and then Die in Pain. The second one there particularly has this chorus where it shouts the title of the track. It's done in such a I don't know, demonic kind of way. It sounds very, very effective. Followed by then Vampire. Opens with sort of a punk bass guitar noodle there with a lot of double bass in the background. Then this whammy bar guitar solo comes in after that. Again, the rhythm guitar, like I said, it's just one guitarist, but when it's in rhythm mode, it's very much like Possessed on this. Very fast tremolo picking. And that really, it is sort of the theme for the band, but on this B side, I swear they amp it up a lot more. Reanimator, the next track on here, feels a little bit like sort of Exodus Bonded by Blood in the chorus, just the way that they kind of blurt out the title of the track. Slow Death is the sort of, well, it's not slow, but it is probably more epic sounding. It's still crazy thrash. Gets a little bit loose towards the end of it there, like it's almost starting to fall apart at the seams, but then it ends with this movie sample. I'm not sure where it's from, but it just ends abruptly with this sample, "Don't skimp on the meat," and stops. I thought that was great. So yeah, this is really killer stuff, and I'm super, super happy to pick it up. It's pretty underrated, I think. The overall vibe, really, if I was going to summarize it, is this is like Seven Churches if it was recorded by kids on skateboards. That's kind of what this feels like to me. Look at the thing. This looks like the kind of, this would have been drawn on a skateboard deck. That's exactly what this is. So yeah, that's Rigor Mortis. And I think the reason this is difficult to find, despite there being a number of releases in 1988 on LP, CD, and cassette, it's never been legally reissued, to my knowledge. I can't find any evidence of that. Anything that's after the 1988 releases, and there was a few of them, it's all classified as bootleg and then unlicensed or whatever. There's picture discs out there, and they're apparently all fake. And there's some more modern stuff from the 2020s, apparently all fake. So don't know what's going on there. This is a proper Capitol Records press, of course. Capitol down there. So big label, Capitol and EMI. That's a pretty big deal. Wasn't that Megadeth's label, Capitol? Could be wrong, but anyway. This is it's a difficult one to find. But in saying that, right at this exact moment, if you're on Discogs, there is a near mint copy in the US for $80 USD, which I think is actually quite fair for this. So if you're fast, maybe go pick that one up, because the ones after that are all double and then triple. But really, really good album. I'm pretty relatively new to the band. As I said, it is not one I was expecting to get, so I never invested much time in it. There you go. There's the lyrics, blood splatter, more blood splatter with the guys. And LP here, just on black. It's really, really nice condition, and the purple Capitol centerpiece there. So yeah, Rigor Mortis self-titled release. This is quality thrash. If you haven't checked it out, I really suggest that you do.
Black is the night, what is the moon? Picking the flash from my team.
Well, I've had good luck with grails on this channel. You've definitely seen over the years when I've gone and become very, very lucky and picked up something I never thought I'd pick up. But, things like Demigod, picking up Slumber, Sullen Eyes, Original Press, that was a glorious day. And this is another one of those where I didn't think I'd be able to get a reasonably priced copy of this in such good condition and locally. Melbourne record store The Searchers, who I've mentioned before, they had just listed this. They hadn't even got the photos up yet, and I just jumped on it and then worried about the photos later. Original Press, Repulsion, Horrified. What do I need to say about this album? Hopefully not much if you're watching this channel, along with Napalm Death, Scum, and Carcass Reek of Putrefaction. Repulsion pioneered grindcore. This was released in '89, but was actually just sort of a new mix and master of their demo, Slaughter of the Innocent, that came out in '86. '86 grindcore. That predates Scum's release by a year, predates Terrorizer's demo by a year. I'm no grindcore expert, but to me that kind of sounds like this was the first real grindcore release. The early Napalm Death was more punk, and then they became grind. Is this the first grindcore? I think you could have a very spirited discussion about that, but here it is 18 songs in 29 minutes of fast blasting noise. Very scooped mid-range guitar tone. It's been such a staple sound for this release. The drums that become a blur when they're played so fast. Vocals that are just these raspy spurts. A very disgusting bass guitar tone. I love the tone on this. It kind of blows the speakers when it gets to a solo bass. Like, it is just fuzzed out. It is so good. Flip it over because the back is just as good as the front. Look at this thing. I've always liked how there's a track on here, Black Breath. How that track stands out. That one's more like a hardcore thrash track. There's no blast to be found. It's got a solo in it and everything. Entombed covered that track at one point, I guess, because it was such a standout track from this album. But everything else is just blitzkrieg, but grindcore. Like I said, it is 18 songs in 29 minutes. It is essential album for fans of extreme metal. It is mandatory for fans of grindcore. I've had the 1992 reissue CD. It's got a different cover. It's got a purple face on it. I've had that since the late 90s, maybe 2000 at the very least. I got that CD used secondhand. 25 years ago at least. And I think the cover is cool, but I've always preferred the cover on this one. Just this zombie, and he is here again. It's either way. Both covers are cool, but I had to have this. It's the original Necrosis Records release. That was Jeff Walker's label. Marketed by Earache. That was Jeff. I think that was Jeff's version of the Earache logo as well. It's got so much Jeff all over it. Again, going back to the who did grindcore first, he definitely knew what he was onto though when he signed and released this thing. Was advertised. This release was advertised as a VG Plus, and when I received it, I messaged the record store and said, "Did you guys categorize this?" And they said, "We just always err on the side of caution because it is essentially a near mint. Near mint Repulsion Horrified, amazing." And I found it in Australia. The only thing it doesn't have is the hype sticker. I know that some copies you'll find, I think it might be up here. I'm not entirely sure exactly where the placement is. And it might be stuck to the cover. But if that was the case, it came off a long time ago because there is no evidence anywhere on this shine that takes away from that hype sticker. So I kind of prefer it like this. It's nice and clean. Basically mint all the way around. So we'll go through the insides. There's the lyrics and the drawing in the background. A loud truck going past. There's our thrash collage, or grind collage, might be more accurate to say. Lots of faces in there. Lots of good fun. We'll get inside. And, yep, I will get this one out because it is just insane how shiny this thing is. There you go. Necrosis Records. I don't know if it's coming across or not, but that is basically mint. and I popped it on. I haven't even cleaned this. I clean all my used records. This one, I didn't. And the way it was packed too, and it had a reinforced secondary cardboard inner for this. Pretty sure either it was just minty or the store put it through a ultrasonic or something beforehand. So I left it like that and I played it and it sounds brand new. So absolutely thrilled with this release here. A Repulsion Horrified. It's in the top grindcore albums of all time discussion easily. It could easily be number one, and it could also be argued to be the first that ever came out. So yeah, it's mandatory stuff. And that's it. That's the 4 records I'm showing you today. OG press records from the 80s and then up until 1990. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. I'm so happy to have them in the collection. I think you'll all agree that these are 4 excellent albums with Repulsion just chef's kiss. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Consider joining the channel. If you are not a member, please do consider. It's fun. There's 11 of us now. 11 of us, and I think that's really cool. I'm very, very thankful for everyone that has decided to throw 99 cents a month at me to get what you're already getting. Thank you for the support. Check out this thing. Check out this thing. I'll see you next time.